Hello friends, welcome to our session on Spring Framework. The agenda for today's session is Introduction to Spring Framework, why Spring, its advantages and Spring modules. So in today's session, we'll begin with the Introduction to Spring Framework. Rod Johnson developed the Spring Framework in the year 2003. Java EE applications can be easily developed using Spring Framework. Spring is a lightweight framework. It uses Pojo to create Java applications. Pojo is plain old Java objects, and Java applications can be easily developed using simple Java class files. So Spring is a lightweight framework. Now it can be thought of as a framework of frameworks because it provides support to various frameworks such as struts, Hibernate, Tapestry, EJB, JSF, etc. So since Spring provides support to all other frameworks, all these frameworks, so it is known as the framework of frameworks. A framework can be defined as a structure where we find solution to various technical problems, and the Spring framework provides the required APIs for developing applications using Java and Android. The Spring framework comprises of several modules such as IOC, AOP, DAO, Context, ORM, Web MVC, etc. And we'll be covering each of these modules in depth in our upcoming sessions. Now we'll discuss why Spring and its advantages. The Spring framework has got many advantages. They are predefined templates. The Spring framework provides predefined templates for JDBC, Hibernate, JPA, etc. And using these predefined templates, you don't need to write too much of code for making the connectivity. So the Spring framework provides predefined templates due to which we don't have to write too much of code for connectivity. So this is an advantage. Now we come to inversion of control. The concept of coding in abstraction is effectively introduced, and a much better coding standard is provided using inversion of control. And Spring IOC is implemented by dependency injection. So dependency injection implements Spring IOC. Now we'll come to loose coupling. Now dependency injection also provides loose coupling. Now what is loose coupling? Loose coupling is if there is dependency between two classes, or there is has a relationship between two classes, then one class has to be dependent on the one class is dependent on the other class. Now if there is any change made on the dependent class, then that has to be reflected on the class on which it is dependent. So this is made possible using the Spring framework, and since this is done at the runtime, so Spring framework provides loose coupling. Now, next we come to easy testing. Easy testing is dependency injection will make testing of the application developed in Spring easy. So there is a easy testing, and that is Spring framework has got a module itself for known as test, and this it has got the APIs required for testing. So the Spring Web or any applications made of the Spring can be easy in the Spring frame using the Spring framework can be easily tested. Now we'll come to lightweight feature that is Spring framework is lightweight. That's because the applications made using Spring use only Pojo files. So Pojo is plain old Java objects, or plain class files. Java class files are used to create the web applications. So not only web applications, the Java applications. So the Spring framework is a lightweight framework. Now we'll come to the other advantages, that is the aspect oriented program. Now aspect oriented program, AOP in Spring allows cross cutting of concerns, and AOP is not dependent on Spring IOC container. So here it is cross cutting concerns, that the aspects, and it is aspects that are created, and cross cutting is allowed in the aspect oriented programming. Now we'll come to fast development. Using the Spring framework, we can develop the applications at a faster rate, because the required APIs and templates and abstraction is all provided. So you don't need to write too much of code. So faster development of the applications happen. Now powerful abstraction. The Spring framework provides powerful abstraction in like JMS, JDBC, JPA, JTA, etc. And so you don't have to write too much of code, and these are all provided by the to the framework. And these are all the advantages, some of the advantages of the Spring framework. Now we have declarative support also. Now declarative support is best provided in Spring for caching, validations, transactions, and formatting. And they have a different technique of writing the validations and transactions and formatting and all. So that declarative support is also a great advantage. Now we have business object management. Now there is a clear separation between the business layer and the presentation layer, and if there is any change that has to be made on the business layer or the business layer, there the changes can be made, and the changes will be reflected on the presentation tier. So nothing has to be changed on the presentation tier. So there is the business object business objects are clearly managed by the Spring framework, and so the business object management is also a great advantage to the Spring framework. So these are some of the advantages of the Spring framework. Now we'll come to the Spring modules. The Spring framework comprises of many modules such as core, beans, context, expression language, AOP, aspects, instrumentation, JDBC, ORM, OXM, JMS, transaction, web, servlets, struts, etc. These modules are grouped into test, core container, AOP, aspects, instrumentation, data access or integration, web MVC or remoting, as displayed in the following diagram. So here in this diagram, we can see that there is a complete layered differentiation. The layered format of the Spring framework is being shown over here. So at the bottom layer is the test layer, and here the APIs or classes required for testing is provided. Then comes the core container. It contains the beans, core, context, and expression language classes. This core container can be used for creating applications for Spring IOC. Now we'll come to AOP, aspects, instrumentation, and the messaging classes. They can be used for creating aspect oriented programming. And we'll come to the data access or integration part for web applications or any Spring applications where we have to connect to the database. We have JDBC, ORM, OXM, JMS, and transaction class packages, where the required APIs for the connectivity and the required templates are provided by the Spring framework. Now, if you want to create web applications using Spring, then the required APIs are provided by the WebSocket, Web Servlet, and Portlet. And even more, these are the fundamental Spring framework classes that is provided by the Spring framework. It is a layered architecture, and this is the way. These are the modules that we have to cover, and we'll be covering each of these modules in depth in our upcoming sessions. So please watch our upcoming sessions. It will come along with examples. I'll be explaining it along with examples. And then if you think the session has been informative, then please like, share and subscribe. And thanks for attending our session on the Spring Framework. Thank you.